Hey, I wanted to talk to you a minute today about the gig economy. What is the gig economy? It's basically the side hustle, side income economy that's become so popular today and age. I hope you're still listening to this ad because it's really important for me. I was in the network marketing industry for over 13 years and I had an incredible experience. I learned a ton of things, but there were many things about the industry of network marketing that I really didn't love. One of which was the overinflated products. Number two was the fact that I had to build a team or balance those things that we would call legs, the whole pyramid thing. I really was done with that. About a year ago, I was introduced to a social retail company. Social retail simply means that we are using our social media platforms, which are free, by the way, to promote products and services that we love. The affiliate marketing is booming. Not even going to lie. It's an incredible place to be in. And I am speaking to the woman who's in her 30s or maybe in her 40s, and she'd like to create that extra income. She'd like to create income on her own time. And she'd like to do it in a company that isn't all about the hype, that has some real products that she can get behind, and would work with somebody who wants to teach her how to do that. If that's you, then I would really love it if you would reach out to me. Feel free to comment below or leave me an email. Scan the code. I'm sure there's a code somewhere if you're watching on my YouTube channel, but I would love to get in touch with you. And this is why. The company that I'm with, modere.com or modere.ca, depending on where you're at, check out shiftingretail.com. So that's shiftingretail.com. I want you specifically to go check out the values of this company and what their mission is. That was really important for me. I got flown down to the corporate offices and I had a chance to meet with the corporate crew and meet with the visionaries that are really driving the company forward. And what I discovered is this. The first thing they said to me was, Candice, when people come here from a network marketing company, they start making money. Now, disclaimer, this is work. This is going to take work. This is going to take energy, effort, time, and skill. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. Those don't exist, at least not ones that I would like to put my name behind. However, this company pays us 10 to 36% on commissions of whatever we've moved within our business. And we get paid daily. We get paid up to twice daily. Biggest, coolest thing about this, if I move product, I get paid on the product, period. No balancing legs, no having to do any of that stuff. If product moves because of a referral that I did, whether it was through my social media, through a swipe up influencer, or a person-to-person conversation, doesn't matter. I'm going to get paid on it. And for me, being paid on the work and the effort that I do is important. So if this is something that's intriguing to you, I invite you to head over to shiftingretail.com or head over to Smiley, that's CSMILEY.shiftingretail.com, and you'll be able to join my team directly. If you've got some more questions, please comment below or find a way to contact me and get in touch, because I would love to share with you how we're building this and how affiliate marketing is the place for you to be. And trust me, once I show you how to do it with this company, I will show you the many companies, brick and mortar stores, you name it, sole proprietors, entrepreneurs who have an affiliate-based idea. And once you can do it with one company, you can do it with any of them. So I'm excited to teach you that. In fact, so excited, we're going to give you 120 days of done-for-you posts or text that will help you so that you don't have to worry about what to post or when to post or how to post it. We're going to give all of that to you. You just got to show up with drive, determination, and some cash flow to get you started. $39.99 gets you your affiliate link and code and gets ready to start. Maybe you want to try some product too. It's awesome. But up to 2 customer orders actually qualifies you for commission. So you don't even have to place an order, provided you've got customer orders that are moving in your business. Brand new customer orders qualify you for commissions every month. Super cool. Definitely an opportunity for somebody who wants to come in, put some effort in and work with integrity, work with honesty, but really begin to use the social media time that right now is really just wasted time and turn that into cash flow. Awesome. Hope you have a wonderful day and keep enjoying our show. All right. Well, welcome back to another episode of the Create the Ripple podcast. I am your host, Candice Smiley. and I'm so excited. My guest today is none other than my producer. Yes, there is a producer of the podcast. If you've been a guest on the show, you've probably talked to her via email. She's magical. She's awesome. She's amazing. And thanks to one of my previous guests, Bob, who suggested that we have this sort of behind the scenes episode. We are coming and bringing that to you right now. You all know I am eagerly awaiting this arrival of this baby. And so we've been looking for creative podcasts to really respect where I'm at. And if anybody knows where I'm at right now, it is definitely the lovely Angel. So before I get too far into this, Angel, why don't you give us your little bio, who you are, how you got here, and then we will dive into some questions.
Oh my gosh, I adore you. Thank you, Candice. Hello, listeners of Create the Ripple podcast. I am Angel Carrola, or Angel Carrola Hennig. Some of you may see on social media. I am the owner of Faith in Small Hands, which is a virtual assistant services company. And how I got here was Candice forced me. No, I'm just kidding.
Legitimately.
No, Candice asked me, which I was happy to be a part of this. Thank you for asking me. And I am the producer of the Create the Ripple podcast. Mm-hmm. So the woman behind the scenes that makes this all happen.
Mm-hmm. Which is a big deal, especially for me, because one of the things for me, Angel, has always been about staying in my strength zone. And I mean, for my listeners, they know I am, an entrepreneur. I'm a multipreneur, which means, I'm basically interested in everything, which means I have done everything. And I think one of the biggest pieces of advice I got in the beginning of my career was to, hire a VA, make sure you have a good accountant, make sure you have a good lawyer. And I mean, it's always possible when you're starting out, and certainly wasn't the case for me with the podcast. And you and I actually were connected because I was looking for a VA for the magazine, which of course is not in production right now, but it was interesting how way leads on to way. And I know I've said that before on the podcast. And so, sometimes where we think we're going to go is not necessarily where we end up, but, God can't steer a non-moving car. And so sometimes as well as you're in progress or in, process, that you run into the right people, and you showed up and suddenly made this dream I had about podcasting and speaking and having an impact actually start to make sense, because you love to be behind the scenes. It's like your jam, which is magical because you're good at all the things that would make me pull out my hair. So I love that. Love that. And so I am curious, how did you get into doing the things like the VA service, and then, have it grow into, podcast producing and some of the other projects we've got, incoming?
Oh boy, what's the short story of that? Well, yeah, I used to work in administration, and about 6 years ago, 2015. So 6 years ago, I was working at a hospital, and I ended up getting a severe infection that almost killed me, and was put on bed rest trying to fight this infection. And while fighting the infection and then being on bed rest and everything, I ended up with a pulmonary embolism. So I ended up with 2 blood clots that traveled through my heart and ended up in the right lung, the middle lobe of the right lung. And so it was just a scary time. Both almost took my life, and it was a huge wake-up call. Mm-hmm. And of course, we're going on a journey of healing and self-discovery for the last 6 years. On my healing journey, I figured out that I don't want to be a statistic. Like, this isn't my story. And I wanted to do more. And I knew that I loved and was good at being, in administration, like helping people out. Just love helping people. That is my jam. Mm-hmm. And so I had thought, what can I do from home? What can I do, in the comfort of my home? Should I have a bad day? Should I have an off day? And COVID hit. And so I was like, well, let's give this a try. This is possible. I had heard and seen so many things about virtual assisting. And so I had just took a chance. And I have two very, very amazing people in my life, friends of mine, Charisse being one of them, who introduced me to you, and Holly being another, who kind of pushed me to start a home business. And thank God, because I honestly, the whole process, I would like apply for something and then want to cry, or go and pay for something and want to throw up. I was like, this is the most stressful process in the entire world, opening up your own business. Like, am I going to be good? Is this going to be successful? And so yeah, that's how this company came to be. And it was funny, I had just started in August of 2019. I'm trying to figure out what year we're in. And no, was it August? It was a year this year, so it's August 2020. And it's just been so cool. It's been a really, really fun experience. I started as a general VA, and then eventually found my niche into podcast and just fell in love with it. I loved the entire process. And then I met you through Charisse. You had posted something about hiring for the magazine, and Charisse had sent it to me. And at the time I was taking a break. I wasn't sure if I was going to continue, because I had just been really hurt by a business coach that I was working with. And I had a pause, just kind of recollect and do some soul searching. And you and I connected, and I was like, oh my God, well, I love Charisse, and I know Charisse is telling me how amazing you are. And I'm like, okay, let's do this. So thank God I did. Thank God.
Well, and I love that. And I love, for our listeners, that they're sort of hearing, not only has it been a wandering path for me to get here, it's also been a wandering path for you to get here. And I think that's so important for the woman who wants to be an entrepreneur, or the woman who's on path and on purpose. We think success is going to be, like this, and it's not, right? Success is that weird squiggly line with a whole lot of, endpoints and stop points and restart points.
Yeah.
But what I love about that is, when you and I had come together, I was literally at a point where I was like, I need something else. And, the podcast, of course, has the tagline of trust the niggle, tell the truth. And I was in the process of really trying to listen and lean into the niggle about what I would continue to do with the magazine, which was a great idea, but maybe not quite what I needed to do. However, it led me to people like you. So, I'm like, well, that makes sense, right? Sometimes not everything is meant to last forever.
Yeah.
Or the telling of the truth, which you've always been really, really good at. And, for my listeners, Angel's one of these people that I can show up in the mess that I am, mess of progress, right? When you're like, okay, I'm a little messy today because I'm thinking about this. And Angel and I share the same idea of, we want our lives to have an impact. How we show up to, implement that impact is very much, we're very good collaborators on that. Which I think is just magical. But I'm sharing that with my listeners, because if you've got an idea or a dream, we know Tony Robbins, talks about that it's not about a lack of resources, which was very much where I was at when I met you, right? I felt like I was lacking on resources, but it's actually a lack of resourcefulness that often stops us from moving forward. And so when Angel came into my world, she brought a whole lot of resources with her. And we collaborate on a lot of things, and I get an idea, and then she's like, we could do this. And I really love that. But of course, recently, you and I have been talking about some of the bigger impact. We have a 3-year plan with this. We know where we want to go.
Yeah.
I really wanted to, throw open, the veil per se, and say, this is what it looks like, for us on the back end of putting this all together between, you're the one that goes out and finds amazing people for me to talk to. And oh my gosh, like, I love the people that you have connected us to. And I feel
That's
like
the best. There's so many amazing guests.
Yeah. And of course, we're going to have a link to the podcast archives. So if you're just happening to discover us here, we'll probably talk about quite a few of them. And so you can go and see them. They're all on the website, and you can go and catch those former episodes. The farther back people go, though, they're going to see that there's an evolution of the podcast, which I'm kind of excited. We've grown a lot.
Oh, yes. I still remember from like day one when you were freaking out. You're like, wait, what? We're launching, like, I want to launch this podcast, but I don't know what to do. I'm like, I got you. Don't worry. I got you. And then I think I called you at like 9 o'clock at night and I was like, so I just launched your podcast. You were like, what? What?
I
Like,
literally freaked out, listeners. Okay. So we would not be here if it was not for this woman, because I was busy worrying about making sure it was perfect. It's still not perfect. Um, People are going to be scrolling all the way back now to see how bad it actually was. But you know what? Like, this woman just launched it and then told me about it. And I was like, you did what? And I had a total freak out. But thank goodness you did. You know, believe in me.
it's like that old saying, it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission. Because I knew, like, my heart and my soul, everything that was in my being, I was like, no, she needs to be just launching. Like, the fact that you are so good at what you do, whether it's writing and speaking and just connecting with people, like, damn girl, you should have had a podcast way before me, but it's just timing, right?
Timing. Yes. Well, and I mean, I think that's an overarching, conversation I wanted, people to have, whether it's somebody who wants to start their podcast or, write that book or do that thing. You and I are definitely, prime examples of, I do not have it all together. I do not even know all of the details yet, but I know I want to go this way.
Yeah.
So, let's go this way and see where we get to. Okay. I want to ask, out of all of the episodes that we've done, what are some of your favorites? And obviously, if we don't mention you, my guests, I love you. We love all of you. I think some of us align different energies. But I'm curious, the ones that either tickles your funny bone, or just sort of got people started again, so that people can go find an episode to start with. We've got over 30 now. I'm close to 40, right? Maybe?
Yeah, almost 40 episodes.
What? Anyway, so there's a few. Insane. Yeah. Anyway.
Gosh, there's so many. Honestly, there's so many that I could talk about. Just coming to mind, probably one more of the recent ones that have really stuck with me. One was Puya and your energy. Oh my God, the chemistry between the two of you. I was like, this is such a hyped up episode that I just wanted to jump in myself and be like, tell me more. It was really good and informative. And I just loved that it was on a topic about sales. That's something that you love as well, and that you're really good at. So you could see that it lit you up differently than most of the episodes. And another one that honestly took every ounce of me not to cry was Barbara. Barbara was fantastic. Just listening to her and her story and the way that she speaks, I'm so glad that she has released. I think her book her new book is out now, so go check that out. But she is one of the most incredible people, and I just can't wait for more to hear her story.
I know. I'm so glad, and I'm so glad you brought that up. And of course, we're going to have, like I said, links to a ton of different episodes down below. Make sure you guys have access to all of that. I mean, one of the reasons why I love podcasting is being able to hold space with people and hear their stories. I think there's so much power in our story, right? We often think we have to be or do something extraordinary in order to have extraordinary impact, and we don't. It's just about that showing up authentically and honestly. And you're right, like Puyi was very different than what I had done in the past. I tend to do a lot more around my story and trusting the niggle and telling the truth. And it has a very feminine energy to it. But it was really fun to share that kind of vibrancy that we brought in that episode. I know, we've had some encore episodes, like Bob Huey. I know Bob.
I love Bob.
A link somewhere here. Bob is the reason that you and I are sitting here doing here. And I want to bring that up because I know in each one of the episodes, so whether we've mentioned them or not, one of the key things that I want to communicate when I'm, interviewing someone is that you walk away from this podcast having a sense of value. Value is so crucial. Someone we want to have on the podcast eventually is Bob Berg, who wrote The Go-Givers, which is really my philosophy around business, which is essentially, before you ask for anything, offer something first. Yeah. And, I think that's such a powerful piece in this go-giver mentality is go get out there, go give it away. the universe abhors a void. And that's the funny thing about giving is you give and then there's space and energy rushes in to fill it, right? This or better in general. And, that's certainly an energy that I want people to leave. I want them to leave with a feeling of increase. I'm thinking about some of the guests we've had, like Sheila Story. She had some stuff around energy work, which was really powerful.
I love
Right,
her.
like, I love that you had Charisse. I mean, it's super fun that Charisse, backed me up. Thank you, Charisse, to, work with us. And, then we
And
had
with
got to
her
meet her.
husband, like
I know, I had a
it was the
pair. I had a
couple,
couple. It was
the first
awesome.
couple. And oh my, I was so excited from that. Their love is incredible. And what they have to say, like I'm still harassing her for their book. But as soon as they accepted, and I was like, I'm ready to see Ken live, like, let's do this. But God, they're one of the best couples that I've ever had the pleasure of meeting.
Yeah.
And even she tells story, as you mentioned, like if you're looking for a psychic medium, astrologer, soul purpose coach, honestly, reach out to her. That was a good chunk of what I was looking for. And I had a reading with her and she led me down the same kind of path. She had mentioned like start your own business and call it this, like, because I had said I wanted to call it Faith in Small Hands. So definitely one of the best to kind of guide you in the right direction if you're feeling a little bit lost or confused. Definitely.
Well, I was thinking too, right? Because you and I have this great connection to, I got to experience integrity seminars and, Rayanne, years ago, and then got to interview her on the show here. And of course, we've had, other people from that community as well. We've had, my goodness, like so many. We've had some guys, which, I'm pretty passionate about talking to our masculine counterparts who are also on a mission to grow and change and have conversations that matter. And kudos to them that stepped up, right? Whether it was Robert or Rodo, or like there was some pretty exciting people. Daniel's coming to mind. Oh my goodness, I'm just like so much fun stuff. So long story short, I really want this episode to inspire you to go and have a look and listen to the ones that you haven't listened to yet, because each one of these people showed up with no other intention than to connect authentically and talk about whatever lights them up.
Yeah.
Which is really a fun conversation. And I get in trouble all the time because I don't read all the lovely work that people send in. I shouldn't say that. I skim it, but half the time I'm just so eager to show up, kind of like, when you do a coffee date and you'd be getting to know somebody in their business, to show up, sit down with that latte and be like, tell me about who you are. What lights you up? What's your impact? My favorite question to end every episode is, what is the one thing you want to leave the listeners with? And the reason I do that is because I think we all have that mission or that vision or that thing that we want to talk about. And I want people to talk about that. I want spirit to show up and there to be an authenticity, to my conversations with people that inspires that.
Absolutely. And it goes back to the whole point that this is about, value. And it leads every time back to that piece. Like even with Puya, you guys were talking about sales. And then at the end, he was like, if anything, like I am grateful and I have gratitude. And it just, there's always a message within every single episode that is so similar. And when looking for the right fit for the podcast to bring on these guests, I look for passion. I look for, like the authenticity. But if I want to hear you speak and if I want to hear more, then I'm like, I'm going to get you to say more, because everybody has their own story and journey. And oh man, it's the most exciting part of my job when I get to connect with the guests beforehand, and then I get to hear what they have to say, like everything in this episode. And then I'm like, oh, it's going to release. And I'm so excited.
What's always really cute, guys, is when she'll connect and she's like, I'm so excited for your guest. And then I'm literally like, I'm not going to look. I'm just going to be excited. I'm going to show up. And I think part of it is, I think we've come to the point where everything about our lives is filtered. which is okay, right? Let's look our best and feel our best, especially with an image that's going to be, picture's worth 1,000 words. But, I think part of the reason why people like listening to the show is we are not afraid to have conversations that take some courage. And more importantly, I think often about, so basically, Angel, since I've been like my whole life, I've fit into a lot of different groups. I chameleon, it's very much an introvert thing. We adjust to the situation and how we cope, right? In an
Right.
extrovert world. And one of the things that I find really interesting about podcasting is people come from all different spaces, right? Oftentimes it's from the trust the niggle, so it can be very woo-woo, very, very spiritual, right down to, more some of the more sales stuff that we've done, which feels more logical and more, in the world.
Yeah.
But the idea is basically that we're not as far apart as we think we are. And I love that because I'm often when I'm interviewing, and I know you've known this when we've done a couple of recordings in a day, because sometimes we do back to backs and stuff, is there's a theme. And I always feel like saying, did we know there was going to be a theme for the day? And it's really intriguing to me, again, sort of a nod to, the higher power that sort of is running the podcast in the background, right? Is it's not always about us, and we never really know who we're going to be talking to, what that's going to look like. And I think that that's been a lot of fun to put together and organize. So
I think so. And it's funny you say that because the running theme is creating the ripples.
yes.
And it's just so damn fitting. It's insane because every story that our guest tells, it's like, okay, this trickles down into the next theme. This means, okay, let's talk about abuse. Let's talk about empowerment. Let's talk where people are uncomfortable. And the fact that some of our guests have told such just personal stories that I've cried even re-listening to them. And I cannot believe that this is such a safe space. It's a beautiful opportunity because here there will be nothing that you will be attacked for. You will not be judged. Kelly Whedon, for instance, you will not be judged. You will be praised. You will be just so loved. And I think in a time during COVID and everything that we've been through, that is what we need more of. Right. This is what we need more. Mandy Trapp said it best in the most recent episode. Like they're trying to divide us during this time. And by they, like the world, everything that's happening is just becoming so divided. And we just need to have that collective joy, that intention, that love, and we'll be in such a better position. And this is what we need to share more of.
As you're talking, I'm thinking about, my own journey to get to podcasting and how it was, I was looking for inspiration. I was looking to not have the radio on all the time. I was looking for, some knowledge, and some of my favorite podcasts, which, we'll have to talk about now that I'm thinking about it. I'm like, oh, I have an idea for a guest. Is, one thing led to another. So I was listening to one podcast and they would mention a book by someone else, and I would go check that out and realize that person had a podcast or they had a show or whatever.
Yeah.
So way really leads on to way. And I think that's one of the things I wanted to create, like you say, this ripple to make an impact, because regardless of what we do, it's going to have an impact, and especially words, that. I mean, and certainly my listeners do.
Yeah.
But I really believe that, not only do thoughts become things, but we create our world with our word.
Yes.
And these are bite-sized ideas of other people who have created their world, and now they're sharing that pretty powerfully with their words.
Oh, that's so true. And it's so beautifully said. It is true. I want to ask you, Candice, why did you start this podcast? Like, what brought you to start Create the Ripple podcast?
I think there's so many, thoughts wrapped up in that, which I think we're going to be sharing over the next little while, right? Obviously, you and I have some ideas, for different campaigns, different ideas, different collabs. But really, it was started from a space of, the trust the niggle tell the truth. And I felt like, so 2020 was significant for me, went through grief. That grief kicked off a season of healing, really intense, personal, very personal healing. And I wanted to talk about it. I wanted to talk about it because I feel like shame lives in the shadows. And shame and its, friend guilt have often held me back from speaking my mind, from speaking my truth. I have not wanted to tell the truth, which doesn't necessarily mean that I was dishonest. It just means I wasn't always in my space and my power, honoring my own self to say, this is what I think. And I realized rather than waiting for a platform, so waiting for, a stage to speak that on, that I could create a space. There's a platform right here, right? And the internet, it made that possible. And it was just important to start that. And I've seen, whether it's through my careers, because I've done quite a bit of speaking within various niches in the world, but that it is always our story that connects us. But what is her name? Muriel, I can never say her last name. We'll put the quote in the bottom, but it's basically my mission in life, right?
Yeah.
What would happen if one woman told the truth about her life? The world would split open. And when I went through that grief and I started telling my truth, I'm in pain. I need to get healed. I was sexually assaulted. I didn't do the work on that. I made some poor choices. Now I'm healed. What I saw is every time I found the courage to speak my truth as it was in that moment, right? To tell the full story, not the pretty one, the full story, that invariably I found more of my tribe. Invariably, somebody said, if you can, then I can too. And I thought, this is the world splitting open. First, it split down the middle to be healed, which is what happens, right? If you have a wound and it festers, you have to literally open the thing up. But then it can heal. And once it healed, it has a huge impact. And so I think behind this is a desire to create a space that is safe, but also very transparent, that if we tell the truth, and as we tell the truth, the world splits open. And I think the world could use a little splitting open right about now.
Yeah.
Because you're right, we're being divided. We don't need to be.
No, and oh God, I really feel that, and I'm inspired by you saying that, because for the longest time that was something that I lived with, was a little bit of fear and of sharing my own truth and talking about personal stories. Because if you meet me in person, right away there's a story, right? And by saying that, is I was born with a rare dwarfism, so I'm quite tiny, and you can't miss me. You'll recognize me anywhere.
Yep.
But even just people are like, well, why are you like that? And so to get into something so vulnerable and so connected to who I am, it's like shedding a layer of skin, but it's the most terrifying thing to do, because you don't want to be judged. Nobody does, and you have to build up that tough skin. It took me a long time, but that's who I am. I'm a fighter, is why I overcame what I went through as well in 2015. So connecting with this podcast, the second you had told me your mission and what you're doing, and hearing you talk about it now, is like deja vu, but it reminds me of why I am so invested to support you and everything that you want to do, because you are probably, if not one of the most incredible people I've ever met. Just genuine, and you hustle, and no matter what, Candice will get that shit done. Like, she will get it done. You ask her and it's already done within like 15 minutes, or while you're talking, she'll get it done. And I'm like, yeah, this is my people. This is my people. Type of person. So there's so much that Create the Ripple has in store coming up, especially next year, and everything and beyond, like you said, within the next 3 years, that the listeners aren't even ready.
No, and I was thinking about that, right? Because I'd like to eventually have this be such a safe space, and have such an impact and influence and following. Do I want to be an influencer, to sell the brands and live life? Of course, I want my lifestyle to support my lifestyle. And I want more women to realize that income and opportunity and, impact are really right at their fingertips, right? Which is a huge part of it, because that's my life, right? I want my lifestyle to support my lifestyle, period. But more than that, in the back of my mind, I want to eventually have this be a space where people can say, I have a story and it has a huge impact. I was wounded, abused, etc. I've moved forward in my life, where they can come and talk about it. And it's going to have this huge impact. And this, that when stuff is taken care of, there are some things that are endemic in our society, in our culture, some thought processes, some like legal processes. There is some change that I want to have impact for and on. And I know that we need to have a movement in order to really do that. And I wanted people to know that, because I know that sometimes when they're thinking about listening, or they're, do I refer this? Is this something I want to follow? Especially if this is your first episode listening into us. Thank you. But, there's a bigger mission behind this idea. And it's to really have that ripple. It's to say, this needs to change. And I think the most powerful thing that we can do is start to talk about it.
Yeah.
We could talk about it. Let's get some experts in, like we did with the masculinity issue, right? The issues that matter to men. We talked to a number of men who were dealing with like things like suicide, right? We talked about a lot of things. I'll be careful what I put on, because YouTube will pull it down. But there's a lot of issues that we tackled. We tackled spousal abuse. We've tackled boundaries. We've tackled a lot of these things. And we want to do more of that. And we've done it sort of gently. And this is me calling me out. And we've been doing it gently because we don't want to make anybody feel uncomfortable. That's not the intention. I'm pretty honest about my beliefs, but it's more than that for me, Angel. It's more like people should be able to show up. We should be able to agree to disagree, but they should feel that at least we're talking about issues that actually matter.
Yeah. And it's honestly, it's not just us. I think we have released some things that have also been silenced by other platforms. And you're just like, but if you know Candice, then Candice is like, F that. I am about to find another way to release this. And then you send little Angel and she's just researching a way to get it back on there. But that's the whole point. Like, no one should be able to silence anybody for talking about topics like transitions, or talking about topics like values, or like, that's the most absurd thing that people can do. I don't understand that. It's a personal story. It's somebody's true story.
Yeah.
Like, it frustrates me.
I know. So, and I mean, I wanted to put that out there because I know that, obviously I'm awaiting arrival of small human, excited to meet this little person. And we know that that's going to, create some change, as it does, right? It's, I was talking about it with my latest guest, the trauma that comes with birth. And I don't mean that in a negative way, like trauma often is, but there is going to be some trauma, and trauma welcomes change. And then we're pretty close, right, to 2022. And we've got some big ideas for that. And of course, 2023. And of course, we're going to roll with the punches and see what the world continues to, to bring. But the power of the pivot has always been something that you and I are like, that didn't work. What are we going to do now?
We thrive on pivot.
We do.
we really thrive on pivot.
Yeah, we do. So, there's some big things coming. And that for me, the power of the collab. I mean, even you and I are, really in a collaborative agreement. You bring your best, I bring my best, and those things align for us. And we wanted to throw it out there because I know that when you set an intention, it's amazing what ends up happening. And we've got some big things that we want to be and be a part of, I think, too, as we move forward. So I think it's that time in the episode where I should ask you if there's anything you want to leave our listeners with.
I mean, I'm not prepared for this question. I have really nothing truly insightful to say. I think that if you have a story, if you have anything to share, any value, reach out to us, reach out to the podcast. You can find us on CandiceSmiley.com, or you can email createtheripple@gmail.com. And we would love to hear from you. We would love to connect with you, help any way we can, and just take that chance, because you never know where it's going to lead, but it seems to always lead you somewhere where you least expect, but you actually need it to be.
Yeah. One of those things where you realize, I didn't even know I needed this person.
Yeah.
I didn't even know I needed that to happen. And I think too, it's important. I just want to bring it up that you don't have to have a business. You don't have to have, your book written, your plan, or anything like that. I think that's a misnomer, and certainly part of the marketing strategies that exist out there. But I think it's more than that, because I mean, I certainly with some of the episodes that we had, especially around, abuse or healing or getting your stuff together.
Yeah.
Like for some, it's just your story. That's it. And then, we get access to the networks and other people that can support people in their healing. But yeah, so we're pretty excited for what's to come.
We are excited. And honestly, thank you for asking me to be a part of this. This has been so fun. I mean, even just talking about our past guests, I don't even know if I asked you which ones were your favorite.
Oh, well, and I was trying to think about that. And then, as we were doing it, I was thinking, we had talked, people like Angelo, we had talked to people like Daniel, we had talked to there were so many different guests that one thing led to another. And I was like, oh, we need to a recap of all the guys when I get them together in the same room or all on the same podcast and talk. I was thinking about the powerful one that we did with Robert McLeod.
Oh my gosh, Robert. Oh my gosh, that one. It was, he's
Right?
something else.
He's
Yeah.
So, there was some significant stuff
Moments.
that we did.
Like when I think Robert was the one that kind of threw it back at you and tested you and then brought on mental wellness. And I was like, this is amazing. But you just went with it. And from there on, you can even see a shift with the next episode and the next episode, because you were like, okay, that was a piece for me to take. I had never heard about mental wellness, right? And it's just, there's so much we've learned from this podcast, even meeting like Sam Lewis.
Oh, yes. Thank you. I was like, who's the dude that lives on an island? I wanted his life, and that's my pregnancy brain. So, we talked about manifestation and why it doesn't work. So I think it's been really interesting because each one of the episodes, regardless of who the guest was, it had an impact. It had an impact in that moment. We had some people who shared, like I said, their incredible stories of healing. When we did the woman empowerment issue, which was such a passion for me, when we had the magazine going, we talked about, how
mental resilience.
Yeah.
With Dr. Joni, that one was very powerful.
I'm glad one of us has a brain that works right now.
I got you.
You got me.
We're here. I got you.
And
I don't have an excuse. I don't have if I have a moment or a laugh.
Yes, you don't have an excuse. Well, I'm glad I at least have an excuse. I was thinking, we need to get some t-shirts made that says I'm so excited, because that's how I start. But to be honest with you, I'm such an introvert, right? So I don't really want to get out into mass groups of people, but the one-on-one connection, when I get to look somebody in the eye. And I know that this platform, of Zoom, we're all kind of tired of it. But at the same time, for me, I kind of enjoy that it's this focused energy. And I can just be present with whoever I'm talking to. And it never fails. Whoever my guest is, it's the message is for me. And I'm like, I'm so glad I get to record this and share it. But you know what? I'm clearly the only one who needed this today. And I have found that to be so healing. And I've just been so honored by each and every single one of my guests, the people who have taken time, that non-renewable resource, and they have come on to share space with me to talk about stuff. And it keeps on growing. So thank you to all my listeners for all the downloads, mind blowing.
Thank you for your support. And
right.
Honestly, although you may not like those big crowds, you're going to be just used to it at some point, because a lot more is coming for Creative Oracle.
I think as long as I get to be talking one-on-one to a guest or two, it'll be good. But, I am incredibly honored that this gets to be, something I get to do on the regular. It's something that, fits into my life, and it's just created an incredible space to share. And I'm honored by that. It was not so many years ago where we didn't have platforms like this, and we do now. And how amazing is that? And, so I guess more and more, and it's all up and up from here.
Yeah. Oh, there's so many more exciting people that are coming on this show. So you guys, please tune in.
We know. We're like, oh, so excited. Well, I want to wrap this up, let our peoples get back to what they were doing. As I said, we wanted to have this episode so you could know who Angel is, the impact that she has on me and the podcast, and to just sort of throw back the veil a little bit and say, hey, thank you to my listeners. Thank you to my guests. And we've got some big things coming, and we'd love to let you know about those and just say, like, stay tuned, because 2022 is going to be off the hook, and we're pretty stoked about that.
Yes, we are.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining me today, Angel. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
You're so welcome. This was really fun. What our listeners don't know is that we spent like an hour talking when we had originally scheduled. So we're also friends. So it's really quite fun. And then we're like, I guess we should hit record and actually do this episode.
Yeah. Before we forget
what we were actually going to talk about. Anyway, that was the pre-show we should have recorded, because that was pretty epic. Yeah. But anyway, to the rest of my listeners, again, thank you. To all of my guests, thank you for making this such an incredible journey. And to the rest of you, thank you so much. I will catch you on the flip side. Are you looking for a simple, easy weight management solution? I thought you might be. I know I was. I also wasn't interested in something with a ton of gimmick without any science behind it, which I know a ton of companies have. The company I'm about to share with you actually has 12 of their own clinical studies. And for me, with my science-based background, I needed to know that. I also needed to know the product worked. And so I was introduced to the group that had 125,000 members in it, all supporting amazing stories of weight management, weight loss, hair regrowth. Oh my gosh. Not surprising though, considering the product itself has won numerous awards in and out of the nutraceutical industry, which I think is pretty incredible. Pretty exciting as well is the fact that it's made with their patented technology, 7 international patents on the collagen in this product, made entirely from chicken sternum. Chicken sternum, why? Because it most closely mimics the collagen that our own bodies create. Now, I'm a 36-plus-year-old woman, and so making sure that I'm maintaining and taking care of and trying to reverse the clock so I can age gracefully is super important to me. Making sure I'm taking products that are safe, making sure I'm taking products that are approved, and making sure I'm taking products that I would be happy to share, because there's integrity at the top. So this company is a values-based company, which I absolutely love. Not only do I love that, but I love the flavors. This is mango. Mango's my favorite. This is from the gHere company, which you've heard me talk about before. 1 simple spoonful a day. In the morning, I can add it to my coffee if I feel like it. I don't add the mango, I add the vanilla to my coffee, but I can add a simple spoonful to my day. It tastes awesome. It tastes amazing. And it's helping my body to maintain the figure that I've worked to get to. Why not? Now, if you're looking for some weight management, this is going to help curb appetite. It's going to help your body to function as best. And we know that when you do something like that and you make wiser choices, your body says thank you. This is part of an entire system called the Lean Body System. I will make sure to post information for that below, or you're welcome to scan the QR code, which I know is going to be somewhere in the screen if you're watching this on YouTube. If not, head over to modere.ca. That's MODERE, modere.ca, or modere.com, and use code 5579027. Again, 5579027 to save $10 on your next order, regardless of what you put in your cart. Thanks so much. Have a great rest of the listen.